This is Danny Stygion. I'm the publisher of Cynical Magazine, and this is my wife.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself?
Wow, so formal. Okay. So I'm Brittany B. Stygion. Other people know me as Mistress DeVore. I guess dabble with fetish photography, like fetish modeling. I just enjoy dressing up and feeling really hot. Retired pro dom. Let's see. I'm a fur mom. I've got the puppy here, Kingsley, taking a nap because he doesn't want to be anywhere else but on my lap. I'm pretty boring, actually. I think a lot of people have this fantasy of me, but really I'm just a weirdo. I don't know.
You are my weirdo.
I am. You're my weirdo too.
Okay. Do you want to talk about how we're going to do today's episode?
Yeah. I think we should at least introduce because it's a little different. So this was my idea, to make Danny sit down here so I can torture him and make him talk to you guys because I don't think he gets to talk a lot or does want to talk most of the time.
This is true.
Man of few words. That's what I always say. So with today's episode, I thought it would be a good idea to get a little bit more about us, the people that are doing all the work behind Sinical. I'm not going to lie. I don't do too much. I'm just here for the background. Danny does a lot of work, and I'm really proud of him. And I think he should get his little moment, his little roses, his little stars. And so, yeah, we'll learn a little bit about us, and hopefully that brings you a little bit closer to us and learn who we are. Yeah.
And some of these questions came from our readers through Instagram.
Yeah, so I did do a poll of questions, like basically ask us anything. Some are pretty interesting, but some I definitely cut out because you guys are nasty. But we like that. But not today. So yeah, do you want to go ahead and kick it off?
Yes.
It's so cute.
How did we meet?
Okay. How we met. So 2017, we talk about it all the time. I'm a huge romantic, and so I always like to ask Danny about like when we first met. I say a lot. I'm sorry. So 2017, originally, I was supposed to meet you and do a photo shoot. And that fell through. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. That was for the lingerie. And then I started working as a pro dom with Domina Shannon. And she said that I should reach out to you and do a photo shoot. And looking through your Instagram, I found out you were that guy that did the girl in the kitchen photo that I had seen years before and had fallen in love with. Didn't have no idea who you were. I just saw that picture and I was like, oh, wow.
My most famous photo for some reason.
I know. It's a really good photo and people steal that and make memes of it. Something about like if she doesn't make your sandwich right in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what that was?
I think so.
So I think I did reach out to you and I said that Domina Shannon wanted me to introduce myself or something. I'm interested in doing a shoot. And back then, it was hard to find anyone to shoot with because I hid my face. Little did I know my lips would reveal my identity to everyone. But then you reached back out and said, yeah. What are your thoughts from that photo shoot?
I thought that you had a very friendly and open personality. You're very fun to be around. And there's a lot of smiling going on, which is most people that don't know you might think that you are a little bit more distant.
Yeah.
But you're not like that at all once people get to know you.
I know, I'm just a shy little thing. But then once you get to know me, my little freak flag comes out. And there's no stopping it. We still have a photo that I like to look back at, the glove incident.
Oh, yeah.
So Dom and Shannon has little tiny baby hands. They're still vicious, though. They'll get you. But she has these beautiful leather opera gloves. And I wanted to wear them, but I have fat hands. Little fat hands. So I went to go put them on, and they wouldn't fit. So it literally took her and the house slave to try to shove my hands in these gloves. All the meanwhile, you're sitting there staring at me from the other side of the camera, and I was just convinced that this guy thinks I'm a total nut. You're smiling. You're like, yeah.
You are a total nut in some ways.
I know, I am. So from there, things progressed. We decided to start sessioning together. I've done many things to poor Danny over here, but obviously he liked it because we're now married.
Yeah, we became friends after that shoot, and one thing, had gotten divorced, and I started to explore playing with different DOMs for a year or so, and then through our talks, it came out that we wanted to try sessioning together, and then that's how we became a little bit more involved.
Yeah. Maybe that can be tea for a later podcast if you guys want to have us back to talk about our relationship more, how that developed and what all went down. I guess it's a traditional, or not, I guess it's not traditional. I know that there are a lot of stories of other people that have met through kink and fetish, BDSM, what have you, that have had, great marriages and everything. And it's not a usual one that they will put on TV or the radio, but it's ours. So yeah.
And we're trying to turn it into a movie called The Fetishist, which hopefully we can make within the next couple years.
Yeah, we are in the development of that. I'd say it's taking a while. There's a lot of projects going on, as you guys, I'm sure, know and see.
Yeah, we try to stay busy.
You do. I just want to break all the time. I'm lazy. Next question that I know we get a lot after we say how we met is, do your families know how you met?
I think they know now. I remember I did tell my father pretty early on what was going on, and he thought it was funny and he thought it was cool. So what about your family?
He's like, that's my boy. I have a great relationship with his dad. I love his dad, and his whole family is really great, actually. I don't think they knew the full extent of how we met until one drunken night on a cruise ship, but now they know. For my family, I guess I've always been a real wild card, so they know everything that I've been into. They knew when I started being a dom and experimenting with all that. My dad knew sessions that I had. Not that he really wanted to hear it. I don't know if any dad really roots for that, but I never hid anything from them. I've always told them straight out what I was doing. It's my life. They never had any pushback. I think his words were I want to say oh boy, I think the funniest reaction that I had was my aunt thinking that you made porn.
Oh yeah.
Saying, oh my God,
Porno
you're
Danny.
Yeah, Porno Danny. Yeah, I made the announcement that I was engaged, and he hadn't had a chance to meet my whole family yet. And that was one concern that was brought up was, who is this man you're marrying? I hear he makes porn. And I was just well, I wouldn't be opposed to him making porn. sounds like there's some good money in the filming of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It wouldn't be like way out of the books, but I just thought that was funny. I think it was the conversations from the Cynical Balls.
Oh, yeah.
What happens there on stage.
And then seeing some of that footage and then not knowing much about it, people can jump to conclusions.
Yeah. It was the me filming an Instagram, flagging and removing it immediately. So yeah, I don't know the next question.
So the next question I think we should talk about is, why did you retire from professional domination, and will you go professional again?
Y'all love to ask me this question all the time on Instagram. Why did I retire? So I was a pro dom for about 5 years. I think I was actually really good at it too. I really did enjoy my time in the dungeon. I enjoyed meeting tons of people from all walks of life. I think a lot of doms can say that. It's not just like cookie cutter. Every person that walks through that door is completely different, and they all have their own story. And I made sure to ask them all the time, like, what brought you in here? Like, when did you notice you were kinky? That kind of stuff. I would say though, so there's like multiple things of why I retired. One, I was working a full-time job, and then going to the dungeon nearly almost every day afterwards, and it just made for a really tiring day. I was burning the candles from both ends, and one dom once told me, like, you had to choose which life you wanted to live, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to choose because I enjoy both my mundane, boring video gaming life and I enjoy the dungeon and expressing myself through fetish. But it did really become a lot, and it takes a toll because you have to put so much of yourself into your sessions. And I think, from personal experience, that I definitely was not a lazy dom, or there's nothing that I would classify. Everybody's got their own play style, but for me, I'm very like theatrical, and I put a lot of thought and planning into what I want to do. Am I boring you? I'm sorry. Anywho, so yes, I was pretty burnt out. And like at one point it just felt like I was taking sessions at the end, more so because the money was good. I made good money. And then another part is, I suffered a great loss. It wasn't death or anything, but when things fall apart sometimes, and hard transitions are made, it can really break your soul. And I think, I know, because you were there, you went through it with me. It did really crush my soul, and I had a big, like self-reflection of like, what am I doing? How am I doing? Just check in with myself that I hadn't done for a long time, because I think I was just going through the motions, survival. But, through that, I wouldn't change anything. I still get to express myself. I use different means, like online. I don't know. I can say clips for sale on YouTube? I don't know.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. So I make spicy stuff on my own, just as a expression for things that I love that are fetish. Like I said, I love dressing up and I love feeling sexy. It's empowering for me. And that's something that I don't think will ever leave. Will I go back to the dungeon? Maybe to make clips or something, but I just don't have it in me to session right now. I am very much a homebody, and I do have a day job, and it takes a lot out of me. And I like to come home and be a vegetable, be a potato. I'm a potato. So yeah, I don't know. No, it's because Danny made me. That's what everybody thinks.
Hey, you were a good dominatrix.
I appreciate that.
And then see, next question.
I know my phone went out. Oh, damn. I guess it would help if I had my glasses on.
We're both blind.
I know. You're pretty blind, but I think my eyes are getting worse. Okay. So I actually got this question quite a bit. How did Danny come up with Cynical Magazine, and how did he choose the genre?
So when I started off as a photographer in my early 20s, I was interested in fetish photography, and some of my work had been published in different magazines like Marquee Magazine and Skin 2 Magazine. And one day I just got the idea that I wanted to do my own magazine. And a lot of my friends had told me that it was going to cost too much and you needed a crew and this and that. So I kind of put the idea to the side for like 7 or 8 years until 2010 when I turned 30. I had made it up in my mind that I was going to do it. And print-on-demand magazines was becoming a thing. So it was becoming easier to print a magazine. You didn't have to print in bulk, which costs a lot of money. And I just learned how to design a magazine and publish it on my own. And yeah, that's how I started Cynical, basically.
Wow. I hear that all the time, but I'm still so proud of you each time I hear that story. Because it's a lot. This man, this man here, he works really hard. So my question for you was, what was your first exposure to fetish?
When I was a teenager, I had come across images of like Betty Page and Dita Von Teese and Marquee Magazine. And there was a documentary on HBO called Fetishes by Nick Broomfield, which kind of opened up my idea, it opened up the world of BDSM and dungeons and dominatrices to me. It's the first time I remember seeing it, and I was like, what is this? And it just kind of captured my imagination. And I didn't start shooting until my early 20s, but it kind of, those ideas and visuals kind of started to form in my mind when I was a teenager. So what about you?
As you were saying that, like in the back of my head, I was thinking like, God, what was mine? I'm not thinking bad thoughts. I'm literally thinking, racking my brain, going through like all the history.
Was it like a movie or a magazine?
I don't really remember like an exact moment. What I do remember, I was always a little bit, kinky, I guess, before I realized what kinky was when I was experimenting and coming into womanhood. Even probably as a kid too. I'm a little weirdo. I think probably around when I turned 19, I want to say, is when I started looking into my interests, and I was like, the little light bulb goes off. You're like, oh, I'm kinky. Okay. And then that led me down a whole rabbit hole of books, a lot of books, a lot of different websites for different play. I want to say it was, what is that? Marquis de Sade? I don't, am I saying his name right? I have dyslexia.
Or the movie Quills?
Maybe? No.
Or just his books in general?
I read about him first. And then I went and read his books. But I watched, I think it was a movie. No. I want to say, was it 365 Days of Sodom?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
That was my first start off. And then the story of O, I really enjoyed that. And I just kept reading more. And I don't know, I live in a world of fantasy. So my head constantly has ideas and things going on. I'm very imaginative. And I was like, wow, I like this story. Not on the end of getting the pain, but giving it.
Dishing it out.
Maybe that wasn't, I don't know, 365 Days of Sodom is probably not a great example, but that's when things started clicking and I was doing more research.
I'm trying to remember. Is it 128 or is it 365?
Maybe it's 128. I can't remember. It's been so
yeah.
long. Literally, probably since I was 19. I'd be down to watch it again.
Yeah.
Quill's, I think I've seen. I don't know.
It's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, and he's like a priest. And I think Kate Winslet and Jeffrey Rush.
I don't know if I've seen it.
It's a really good movie.
Maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like when I saw Preaching to the Perverted for the first time, y'all, I'm obsessed. Obsessed with that movie.
It's a classic.
I will never... I want to embody her. I want to be her. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. I found my happy ever after. No baby. Well, fur baby. But, yeah. And then Secretary. Watch that. I know you recently talked about that on an episode with Irene Boss.
Yeah. We went over some movies that I wanted to get her opinion on.
Yeah. I think that one, I did watch that. And then, of course, like in my up and coming was like the big movement of 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
I know everybody hates. I've read all those books. I was not educated. I did know that, what's his name? The main guy in that. Christian Grey. Yeah. I did think he was like a weasel. I don't know. He wasn't like my fantasy kind of guy, but I thought like the introduction of BDSM was like really interesting. But I also read Twilight and saw the, I don't know, the merging of the storyline. I was like, this is just like Twilight, but like instead of I'm a killer, I'm a kinkster. But yeah, that's my fetish, like in media, I guess. And then of course Betty Page, like obsessed with her.
Of course, and Dita.
Yeah. We won't talk about Dita right now.
I know. I mentioned her like in every interview.
We're both obsessed, big fans. So thank you to our sponsors for that little break there. No sponsors yet, but I'm just saying. It's never too late. Could always sign up. Anywho, we took a quick little break. I've traded out animals. This is Sid. They are with me all the time, everywhere I go. And there's no stopping it. I just don't fight it. So he'll be joining us for the rest of the time, unless he chooses otherwise.
They follow us from room to room.
Everywhere we go. There's no safe space. So, where did we leave off? Next question. How did Danny come up with the idea for Cynical Ball? And when will the next one be?
In my early 20s, I was going to raves a lot. And I remember seeing the movie Preaching to the Perverted. And that movie had a few scenes that took place at a fetish ball. And I thought it would be cool to go to something like that in Houston. But there was only one promoter that was really doing fetish events that I could recall at the time. And he's someone that wasn't very welcoming for me. So I didn't go to his events, and I just decided to try and do it on my own. So some of the promoters that I knew from the rave scene helped me put together the first fetish ball that I did, which was called Seductor World, and we did this at the Axiom in Houston, which is no longer around. And we had a pretty good turnout. It was a small event. But for the second event, we did an event called Desire at the Mansion on Beverly Hills Drive, near like the gallery area. And we had booked Dita Von Teese as a headliner. And this was when she was just becoming really popular. She had just landed the cover of Playboy, and she was dating Marilyn Manson at the time. And this was before she started to do her own burlesque shows. And that event was a huge success. But I didn't do an actual Cynical Ball event until 1 year after starting the magazine. In 2011, I think, was the first ball. And that was our 1 year anniversary party. We did that event at Cover Girls, which is a great name for a club for our type of event. And we did that on the second floor. And we've done quite a few Cynical Ball events. We haven't been able to do them every year, usually every other year or so. And then, one of the questions that we get asked a lot is, when is the next event going to happen?
And we hear you. We see your messages. We appreciate you. We appreciate the support. But it is a lot of behind the scenes work. And things are in the work. Danny is always working. I want you guys to know that. Of anybody else, Danny is always working. And there's stuff in the background going on. And it will come. The ball will come. It will happen. And you'll be the first to know.
Next year will be our 15th anniversary, so that might be a good time to do an event. And we might try to do some smaller scale events like play parties in between the balls. But
maybe.
We'll talk about that in a
we'll see.
Future episode.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing is, Houston itself has gone through so much. We've had a tornado hit us. Now just recently a hurricane. And things are hard, man. It's hard for everyone right now. And we want to give everyone that escape. But we want to do it good. And we want to be better each time we do a ball, I think.
Do you have any interesting stories from a Cynical Ball event?
That was a question. That was one of the questions that was sent in. And I don't even know if they know the story of why they asked. If there's any funny stories or any stories that we had about Cynical Balls. What a doozy. So I don't always get to partake and party at Cynical Ball because most of the time Danny and I are working in the back end. It may look like we're sitting sometimes, but that's like very rare that we get to sit down and actually watch and enjoy. I think the last few we were able to actually get to sit down because of the staff that we had. They really allowed us to try to enjoy it. But there's always something going on, like any event. There's always someone that needs help or, things are just going awry. That's everything. I guess I had partaked a little too much. There's photos of my legs up in the air. And poor Danny sitting there. I broke toes. I broke my toes. And I didn't feel it, and I was able to have a full session with broken toes. And it wasn't till the next morning that I saw that my toes were like indeed black, like they were broken. I knew they hurt. I didn't know that they were broken.
I'm sorry that I stopped in the middle of the walkway and you had no shoes on.
That and I don't think. Because I'm pretty sure I kicked the slave in the latex cube as well right after that. And I was like, oh, wow. This hurts. That moment I'll never forget. The pain of that next morning of that Cynical Ball, I will never forget.
A couple things one thing that I've learned is the first few balls, I remember I was always running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Mm-hmm. And some of the people would tell me to, try and relax. You look super stressed. And so over time, I've learned that if you can just have enough staff to help you and support, you don't have to run around. You can have people handle different things and you can sit back. And I think that's how it should be if, you're the publisher or, co-editor of the magazine, where you can just relax and like let people handle what they're supposed to handle.
I'll certainly try.
And one other story that I can remember is we did an event at a ballroom and it was a very expensive party, and they made a big point to let us know not to pour anything on the portable stage that they had brought out for the performers, so that we wouldn't damage it, because it would be costly to clean up or fix. And one of the performers poured fake blood all over the stage, and there was a lot of cleanup duty that had to be done, and mainly by Christopher Balch. And we thank you, Chris. Sorry you had to do that, but we were all freaking out because we thought that it was going to cost about $10,000 to replace that stage. And we thought we were screwed. But luckily, the next morning, the hotel manager that was helping us with the event said that we had cleaned it up. Chris and his friends had cleaned it up enough to where we didn't have to replace the stage. So we got very lucky with that one.
So lucky. Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on for Cynical Ball. Either the prepping, finding the vendors and the space, to securing the entertainment, there's just so much. Instagram shutting down on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we miss Cynical Ball, and we really love doing them. It's just our way of being able to see everybody get together and express ourselves, and in a safe space too.
I think it's important. Good for like the community, a way for like everyone to get together.
That's literally what I just said.
Yeah.
Love you, babe. We're always on the same page, you and I, same page. But it does mean a lot to us, and I think it's cool that you do that. I'm happy to be a part of it, even if it's stressful.
Yeah.
Really stressful. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm still blind. Okay. So this is an interesting one. I get asked this like outside of being online, is how do y'all handle jealousy, if any? Danny photographs models and doms, and Brittany having many fans. Do you want to go first?
I don't think I'm a very jealous person these days. I'm in my 40s now, and I've been through several relationships, and I don't want to get too much into the details, but I've kind of had my freakouts or like jealousy issues, like in those and then there's reasons to be jealous, because like there was stuff going on behind my back, and then so I've been through those bad breakups, and I think I've gotten that out of my system to where like it wouldn't affect. I mean, it would affect me, but it wouldn't hurt me as bad. Where I'd get super emotional about it. So I'm a lot more chill when it comes to that. And I think that if you don't trust your partner, then there's no point in being in a relationship with that person. And I trust you, and yeah, I don't have any issues with jealousy.
Danny sees my fans' messages. I don't know if I should tell everyone. Because I get so busy and I get messages, I was going to let Danny catfishes me for a little while just to see. I wanted him to see what it's like. Some submissives, we'll call them that. Some submissives love to waste time, and they love to send the weirdest messages. And so Danny gets to see a lot of the stuff that comes through my inbox. Not because he had to see my stuff, but because sometimes it's just too good not to show. Yeah. As far as jealousy goes, I've never really been a jealous person. For me, I think it's a trust one of your partner. Absolutely. Trust is the monument, or not the monument. What is it? It's the backbone of the relationship. If you can't trust each other, there's really no point.
Right.
And I've also been on both sides of that. And I think also things like when you're with that person, you just know. And I have no doubts with you, or never have.
You're my best friend.
You are my best friend. You're my best friend. You know. But I don't get jealous. Actually, I do get jealous because, like, sometimes I want to be there for these shoots, not because of Danny, but because Danny gets to be with these beautiful women that I admire so much, and that, like, they're beautiful. Like, I fan so much harder than anybody. And so that would probably be the only jealousy. I'm confident in our relationship. I'm confident in myself. And I would think that if anything wasn't up to par, or if we had issues, that you would come to me and I'd just put a gag ball in your mouth, tell you to be quiet. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty good question.
Yeah.
I get that quite a lot, especially like people when they first meet is like, he's flying off to LA to go shoot all these doms at a convention. And I'm like, yeah, I told him to.
I recently had to drive someone home that was a dominatrix, and you had no problems with that, but I always let you know what's going on.
Yeah, and communication, it's important.
Yeah.
But like I said, nah. Good luck to anybody. Danny's got such great game, guys. He throws the best lines. The best.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know, your pickup lines, babe. It's okay. It's all right. I love you. Let's see. The other question I got was, how long did it take to remove the red paint from the she-devil look, and how many towels were lost? That body paint that I use, really, it just took forever to put that stuff on. I've always wanted to do the she-devil look, and the latex outfit. Yeah, it just took forever. I painted my entire body, even parts that you couldn't see because of that latex. I had that painted, and that was in your bathroom at your apartment when I met you.
Yeah.
And I painted myself up. We did the shoot. I mean, and the stuff is called like Snazaroo or something like that. I don't remember. It was like $5, this little container, and it's water based, or like it's easy to remove. So it didn't take long at all. It came off really easy, and it stayed on really well. Snazaroo, I think, is what it is. No towels were lost because it was washable. The bathroom, however, was a disaster. There was just red everywhere that Danny had to clean up. But we got the shot, and that's what mattered the most.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite shoots. I
like that shoot, too. I thought about redoing it just because I love to paint myself. Or the Hellraiser. That one was really fun, too.
Yeah.
That ball, or was it the bald cap?
Oh, yeah.
And like gluing stuff to myself. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. You're Michael Myers. I think pretty good costumes. But yeah. Anything that you want to add? Anything you can think of?
One thing I want to mention is that we're going to be doing some interviews together for the podcast.
Yeah.
Where we both interview different people. I know we have like Miss Vanity Sin and Domina Chloe coming up.
Yay.
Those are going to be good episodes, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that the podcast is getting picked up again. I think it is definitely well needed. There's a void in the space.
Yeah.
And I know there's other podcasts, but I think you have so many, I don't know, how do I say this? You just have so many contacts, like with interesting stories and like how people have built their careers. I like to listen to them too, and I'm just excited for everybody else to get to share that with you.
And we know they have a lot of interesting stories to tell. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there's definitely stories. Well, I appreciate you guys for letting me crash the podcast today. I hope it was entertaining. I hope you got to learn more about us, or me and this wonderful man in the background over here. I'm glad you got to talk today. Proud of you.
Thank you.
All right then. Till the next time.